is after him. That could be picked off by Colt Cruz at the 28. He's loose. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown, Tigers.
On the ball, he fumbled. He fumbled the ball. Antwerp's there. Antwerp's got it. Season essentially for both football teams.
Both football teams. Yep.
Jefferson 34, Antwerp 33. Antwerp going for 2 in the win. Ball's on the right hash. 2 receivers each side. Different formation from what they had. And see if they try to roll Ultimus. They've got a man out there to the left. Now they'll motion. And now Ultimus will keep it on a QB run. He's near the goal line. Is he in? He is. Carson Ultimus on a gutsy call, Carl. A little bit of window dressing. Get it on the jet sweep to the short side. Up the sideline. Sam McCaffrey. He is gone. Touchdown, Ottawa Hills.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. Joined again this week by Tory Strock. I am Lynn Groll. Neil Schuler not with us this week. He had some other obligations that he had to attend to tonight, so we will not have Neil with us. We'll get him back next week, I'm sure. But we do have his picks.
We have his picks, and Neil's a busy man. I think we should be thankful to have him as often as we do.
I agree with that. On to the regional semifinal round this week, Coach Strock. Sites came out over the weekend. Anything jump out at you as far as somebody getting snubbed, or as the fans from these communities like to say, they have to travel too far, the other team doesn't have to travel enough?
One of my favorite days of the year is when sites are released, because there are some interesting takes, perspectives, theories on social media, and I just sit back and scroll and just take it all in. And I think one thing that's, maybe I'm imagining this, but I think was kind of apparent, at least in my mind yesterday, was I think the OHSA was scrambling in some instances to find sites, and I think evidence of that is Liberty Center, Oak Harbor. They were like the last site announced, and so I think it's a combination of things. Teams still playing, which made their site unavailable. And then athletic director saying, you know what, we're not interested.
Yeah. Originally, they wanted to play that game at Sylvania Northview and had to go to Maumee, so I don't know if they had to make some other calls in between Northview and then to get to Maumee or not. But good job by Cam Kutcher and the crew at Maumee for stepping up and hosting that game. I don't know the last time if they've hosted a neutral site game. We'd have to do some research on that, or ask Cam when that will be our game cast this week. Liberty Center in Oak Harbor.
Awesome.
From Maumee at Kazmaier Stadium. Great facility. We were there earlier this year for Maumee and Oak Harbor, so we'll see the Rockets there again.
Yep, I think it's a great site. So if any Liberty Center or Oak Harbor fans, Oak Harbor's played there, and I've coached there many times. It's a great stadium, and if anybody on either side has any reservations or qualms about it, put them to rest. Great stadium. Maumee and their administration has a tremendous amount of pride. They're going to want to be great hosts. It's a perfect venue. I don't care what anybody says. They won't be disappointed. I love it. I think it's great.
Parking may be a little bit of an issue for a crowd that's going to attend that one. But it is what it is. Parking's not always perfect at any facility at this time of year.
You go to, everybody's always happy, I think, to get staged at Donnell Stadium in Findlay, right? Great venue. There's no place with worse parking than Donnell Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, I've parked a mile away, and down by Cooper Tire, and nobody minds that. So, there are some maybe some parking concerns, but I don't remember Maumee ever being a neutral site. Could be wrong. We got to dig that up, but maybe they hosted when the Panthers were playing. But I don't remember that ever being a site. So
maybe Defiance for Ottawa Hills Bluffton a little bit out of maybe what we thought, but I don't know what their first choices were for that game. Napoleon obviously still playing, or probably Buckenmeyer Stadium would have been a great place for that. Even here at Liberty Center at Rex Lindgren Stadium, but the Tigers are playing, so you can't make a school that's still playing host. Your AD and your volunteers or your workers are going to want to attend the hometown game.
Yeah, that's asking a lot.
Without Saturday games anymore.
Correct. Yeah, that's a big ask. And the nice thing that the OHSAA always has in their pocket, and they know this, Jerry Beauty, just his excellence in putting on any type of a show. But, he's always willing, and he likes to showcase their facilities and stadium. And so, that one was a little bit kind of off the beaten path, but they've got a great venue and great host.
Yeah. We have some rematches from a year ago, quite a few actually, coming up this week in the regional semi-final round. Coach, any matchup that you're saying, man, I want to be there? I know we're going to be at Liberty Center, Oak Harbor. That was the one that probably jumped out at me. That's maybe the premier game in Northwest Ohio, as far as I'm concerned, maybe here in the regional semifinal round.
I am tickled to death that we're doing that for the Gamecast. In fact, I know you had mentioned it. I didn't know it was official till tonight, so I am giddy about that one. I think that one's a great matchup. Really curious to see if Ottawa Hills can close that gap on Bluffton. I think it was 35-0 a year ago. 34-0.
Pretty dominant.
Very dominant.
The Pirates.
Can Ottawa Hills close that gap? I think the big difference there was in the trenches because Ottawa Hills has skill, and, of course, Bluffton does too. So that one's very intriguing to me. And Patrick Henry, can they keep it rolling? They're playing really good football right now. Hopewell-Loudon, what did they learn last year in that game with Patrick Henry? And what will they take from it? Because they're very, very well coached.
Anthony Wayne, Medina Highland. That was a pretty convincing win for the Hornets a year ago, 31-10. We'll get into that when we get to our Division II picks. But a game that was played a year ago. Bellbrook, Wapakoneta, very familiar with each other, played in 2021 and 22, not a year ago. St. Mary's and London have played here recently in the regular season openers.
That's going to be one of the toughest picks. I think Leipsic, Delphos, St. John's is a razor-thin pick, and I think St. Mary's London is super tight and is going to come down to a turnover in the last possession.
Eastwood, Milan, Edison, a rematch from a year ago.
Yeah. Actually, I did not realize that one.
38-7 Edison a year ago in the regional quarterfinals, so playing a week later this season.
Won't it be interesting to see if some of those teams can close the gap and maybe even win? But that's a big gap.
Yeah.
And obviously personnel changes, graduations happen and things. But there were some big spreads last year in some of these initial Liberty Center, Oak Harbor.
Yeah.
Pretty big gap.
It was a pretty big gap.
And but Liberty Center had a stellar second quarter, right?
Yes.
Scored 30 plus. Yep. In that second quarter.
31 in the second quarter. Yeah, they took a 38-14 lead into the half.
Wow.
And then added 7 in the fourth and shut out Oak Harbor in the second half.
Wow. Yeah, that speaks to how good Liberty Center's defense must have been last year, because the first and only time I'd seen Oak Harbor in person was this year at Mohawk.
Oak Harbor had 305 yards. I'd have to go back and look at the stats, but probably the second most yards they gave up outside of the Perry game. Yep. Perry was the only other team that really dinged that defense, and Oak Harbor put up 305. 248 through the air. Couldn't run it too well, but
would like to see. Did they turn it over? Did Liberty Center take the ball away from them in that game?
I have it here.
Maybe an interception or something
Oak
like
Harbor,
that.
no fumbles lost, and no interceptions.
I'll be darned.
Liberty had one turnover. They lost a fumble. They had 526 yards of offense, 331 rushing, but they also threw for 195. Play action got Oak Harbor in that one a year ago.
Yeah, and Amstutz, Liberty Center quarterback, very efficient in that game, right?
Amstutz had a nice night for the Liberty Center Tigers. That one was at Clay a year ago.
Yeah, they've got a great venue for it. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I really do. And for fans that haven't been there, Kazmaier Stadium's totally renovated. It's beautiful.
Yeah, have a nice alumni building. Don't know if that will be used on Friday night, but that's a beautiful facility there.
Yes,
They've really upgraded everything, and looking forward to being there on Friday night for an absolute dandy. Coach, what do you make of this? We have 11 teams this year that have won 2 road playoff games. 2021, the first year we went to 16 per region, we had 3. 2022, we had 8. Last year we had 5. This year we have 11. So there had been 16 the first 3 years, and there's 11 this year. Is it just some seeding that was off kilter? You look at, Delphos St. John's, a 15 seed. They've won 2 games. Both of those, I think you and I would have looked at those and said they have a chance, 50-50. Napoleon was probably week 1, 80-90% chance to win against Lorraine Clearview. And then last week, I think, they were, it wasn't 50-50. It was probably more 60-40, maybe even 70-30 as far as percentages go, as Napoleon would win that one over Bay Village Bay. But a 13 seed is Napoleon.
I think there was a time when the Harbin system was the best we had, and I've always been an advocate of it. But I think it's shown that with the number of road teams and higher seeds winning, that the Harbin isn't the barometer that we need it to be. I think it shows that also, if you look back, the best teams weren't always getting in. And I know there's some Division Ones that are 1-9, 2-8 because of the way their regions are structured. But I think this sheds light on a little bit of some teams were done a disservice, I think, based on the Harbin system.
Delphos St. John's, a MAC team, playing Leipsic this week. There are 4 MAC teams favored by 30-plus points this week, according to Drew Pastor's Fantastic 50. 30-plus point favorites this week, 4 of them in the regional semifinal run from the MAC. So St. John's has played teams that were way better than what they're seeing now. I'm not saying they're going to beat Leipsic, but I'm just saying they've seen teams way better than Leipsic.
Yes.
in the regular season.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And I think now we've been blessed with so many of these resources we have. Martin RPI, which is like one of the gold standards out there. Drew Pastor, Cal Preps, but those first 2 I mentioned, with the resources we have available now and the different ways we have to kind of rate and seed teams, I think we've got to take a look at that moving forward, because some of those seeds, like if you know and you follow football in Ohio, like you could look at some of those seeds and just say right away, this team's going to beat that team, no question. And so you look back over the years now at some of the teams. And people can say, well, you can't go back and change it. Well, you know what? It stings a little bit because there's some really good football teams that got left out because of the system the way it was. So we're getting closer. The expansion has now allowed teams that should be in to get in. But I still think it's too many. There's too many layers to this thing. 16 weeks is too much. And I think of guys, good friends I have in coaching basketball, for instance. And I think of Greg Badenhop right here in Liberty Center. I mean, my goodness, the disadvantage he's at. He's going to be playing teams that have, 5, 6, 7 weeks of practice in before, they're.
I think he has 20-some football kids that they have out. I believe that's the number he told me the other night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What do you do?
And there's some good ideas out there. I talked about some of the theories and stuff on social media, but there's some really thoughtful ideas out there. Talks of maybe cutting back a week or so on the regular season. And
what does that do to a Western Buckeye League, though, where you don't get a non-conference game? I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I agree. I agree with that. That would be a rarity. Most conferences are 7, 8.
No, I agree. Yeah.
But that's real.
Do we need to be done before Thanksgiving for basketball? It used to be the week of Thanksgiving was when the state championships ended.
Correct. It did. But as it does in Division I college athletics, as they say, football drives the bus. It just does. And I think.
What will AD say if they lose one game? How much does that cut into their athletic revenue per year?
Depending on the game, pretty significant.
Well, you take out, for instance, Western Buckeye League, you're no longer going to have Defiance Napoleon game.
Correct. You would not. Yeah. That's a big one. That sustains your athletic department.
I would rather, instead of taking out a game in the regular season, let's take out a game in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Let's just go back to 8.
Okay, I'm okay with going back to 8 if we change the way we see
strength
teams.
of schedule.
I'm all for that because, again, like I said, I've always beat the drum for schools like Napoleon.
Yeah.
A lot of years they were left out and were better. They should have been in, but the system was what it was. We have the capability now to really seed these teams. And
you're still going to have some teams that don't get in, but you can also look at their schedule and say, well, you should have won this one, you should have won that one, you should have won that one. Yeah. There's going to be 2 or 3 games if you're kind of at the bottom that you had a chance.
But if we go with 8 and seed them properly, then the teams that should be in are going to get in.
Right.
No doubt. And there will always be bubble teams. This year in college football in the 12-team playoff, there's still going to be 13 and 14 going. We should be in over 11 and 12.
Well, you should have won. You had a chance in another game probably at some point.
You got it.
The 11 teams that are left that have won 2 playoff road games so far, Division I, Dublin Kaufman, they're a 14 seed. They beat Westland and Lebanon. The Shamrocks came in with a 2-8 mark. I'm going to have you check a couple more for me, if you will. Yep. Nobody left in Division II. No road team won 2 playoff games in D2. Division III, Lexington, who started off beating Maumee, which wasn't a shock. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago. Yep. That was a 50-50 game. Yep. A week ago, who did Lexington get a week ago? If you can look that up for me, Coach.
They had... was it Rocky River or Parma Heights Holy Name that they beat? I'll tell you here in a second. Region 10.
It was Rocky River, 49-29. Okay. So won pretty convincingly there. Also Division III, Dover, an 11 seed. They have won 2 games. Let's see what region Dover is in. If you can find it before me, Coach.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep.
There they are. They have beat Granville 33-0, and they beat Tri-Valley a week ago 37-35. Now, Dover they were 7-3 in the regular season. Don't know their strength of schedule, but they lost to Indian Valley. They lost to Steubenville. 2 teams that are 12-0 and still playing, I believe. Pretty sure Steubenville won, and I think Indian Valley, Both are in the regional semifinals. Their other loss was to New Philadelphia, who was 7-4. Yeah. So the teams they lost to are really good.
Yeah, and they beat some good teams. They beat West Holmes, who's still alive this week. Beat West Holmes 42-9.
Yeah.
So
West Holmes is the 13 seed in Division 4. They're still alive. Who was West Holmes beat these first 2 weeks?
Well, West Holmes has beaten Unioto, who was 9-1 going into that game.
Okay.
And then East Liverpool last week, 24-13.
Okay.
So there's a couple teams that wouldn't have got in.
Yeah. Napoleon, a 13, that's also alive in Division 4, having beaten Lorraine Clearview and Bay, as we've mentioned. Alter is a 10. They have won twice on the road. And then Indian Hill, a 9 seed, has won twice on the road there.
Yeah, Alter at a 10 seed. Still alive, is another further example of a team that would not have gotten in under the old system. And so the strength of schedule component, or another way to look at it is the current Harbin system with level 3 points, not just stopping at level 2. And that's all that would be. That, a guy like Brayton Martin could have that figured out in an afternoon.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah. In Division 5, we have Wheelersburg, who has always been a traditional power. They're a 14 left in Division 5. Division 6 has no teams left that won 2 road playoff games. Division 7 has 3. Delphos St. John's 1, and Leipsic, who will play each other this week. Not surprised that either one of those has won 2.
Nope.
Misseeded probably a little bit. And then Cuyahoga Heights is a 9 seed. They're a 9 seed. So 9 seeds, they can win a couple on the road.
Yes, they can.
So those are the 11 teams that have won 2 road playoff games here the first 2 weeks of the playoffs.
Let me ask you this. There's been some, honestly, some well-informed, well-educated, well-intentioned people that we know that have posted things on social media. And they don't just post them to just throw out random things. Like, they're really well calculated and their intentions are pure. With all of this discussion surrounding the expansion, will we ever see them go back to 8? I mean, because there's a lot of attention being put on this.
There's going to be
now.
some pressure being put on the OHSA. I can't say too much, but I just know there's going to be some pressure put on, and there's a reason why we don't play on Saturdays anymore. Part of it is, I mean, the coaches would rather not play on Saturdays, but there are some other things that I'm not going to get into. I know the reasons why. There's some other things that are going on, why they don't play some Saturday games, the OHSA.
Okay.
And it's not because of a money. They're making enough money on these Friday night games.
Yeah.
They're not actually making more since the playoffs went to 16. They are because they're not paying the host sites money, and they're also not giving a share of the ticket revenue either. They're not making more just because they went to 16.
Yeah, and you remember
you have to cut out some expenses you have, and they have.
Yeah, sure. And it used to be a day when you would get a percentage of your pre-sale. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it incentivized your hometown fans to, there used to just be lines of people outside of the school so they could buy their tickets there. Yep. Because they knew it benefited their school.
Right. Well, you would even have, rival schools go to that school if they were still in the playoffs.
Yes, you would.
To give them a piece of the pie.
A little boost, yep. Yeah. You're right. So I will be interested because, again, the Toledo Blade article today that I read this morning, there's just been, I think, quite a bit of light shed on this year, and I just wonder what kind of ripple that's going to make.
I think the schools need to show some force here and say, hey, what's going on? Why are we not getting part of this? And why do you keep accumulating and accumulating and accumulating?
Yeah. No, I think
there needs to be a little pushback from the schools. And until I think they do that and more of them do it, I don't know that it's going to change. The coaches association has pushed back. And I think a lot of the coaches I've talked to, they say, well, why aren't they pushing back anymore? Well, guess what? They've tried. Yeah. Nothing changes, so it's a waste of their time.
Yeah, right.
They've given up in a sense. I think most of them. Mm-hmm. They don't want it at 16. Right. They voted for this. I don't remember what the vote was. I think it was in the 60 percentile that coaches wanted it at either 8 or 12. Yep. They wanted it at 8 was what they favored. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But discussion that we can have with some folks in this area that are
some well-informed
folks. Yeah, there's more than a couple. I'll say that
more than a couple.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll see where that goes, Coach. But topic for another day, and a topic we could go on for hours and hours and hours about. After 2 weeks of the playoff in our standings, as far as the pick'ems go, Brayton Martin, he is now 47-6 in the playoffs. Neil Schuler 43-9. I am 42-9. You are also 42-9.
Tell you, Brayton, you get to this stage, he's just a cut above with his mathematical prowess and everything else. I have a feeling we're going to be chasing him for a few weeks.
Yeah, he does a lot of digging here this time of year in the playoffs.
Too much digging.
A week ago, let's see if I have from last week. Yep, Brayden was 16-2. You were 14-3. Neil was 14-3, and I was 13-4. So Brayton just missed 2 games a week ago. Pretty darn good.
Pretty darn good, because there were some close ones.
Yeah.
There were some tough picks.
And he's not just Northwest Ohio. He knows what's going on all around the state.
You can get down there along the Ohio River.
Yeah, this time of year. So you still have a 2-game lead on me overall this season, 329-61. That's an 844 winning percentage. Not bad.
Not bad.
I am 327-63, 838 winning percentage, 2 games back. Brayden is just a half game back now on you by percentage. 336 and 67. He's at 834. And the Neal is 323 and 69, 842 winning percentage. He's still 7 back. Just can't. We talked about this a week ago.
Yeah, he dug himself a hole early.
Get over that hump.
And Neal, I know you'll listen to this, but you got to, and we'll try to help him again in the future. But he just didn't accept it when we offered it.
Yeah.
And there were some. Who'd Braden pick? Who'd he pick last week? Leipsic, Gibsonburg. He might have picked Leipsic in that one.
Let me look here real quick.
Just out of curiosity, I know we can't go through them all, but
everybody picked Gibsonburg.
Okay, even Braden. I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, the 2 he missed was that one, and then Tippecanoe and St. Mary's, which we all missed.
Yeah, I mean, again,
and Bo Fry, he's living on the edge.
Yes, he is.
He
does.
Yeah, 4th and 20 from the 41 2 weeks ago, and then last week a game-winning field goal. Yep. After their kicker missed a PAT just before that. How about that? Talked about it on Rise and Rewind, but imagine what was going through that young man's head.
Man, I'm still, as we sit here tonight, still happy.
I think it was
for that
20.
Kid.
Was it a 25-yard field goal?
That sounds right. Yep.
So a little further than an extra point, and bingo, knocked it through and sends St. Mary's on.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Now they've got a tough one. I think a razor-thin game with London this week, but the way these work sometimes, you eke one out like that, and then sometimes you'll see a team roll by a couple scores the next week. Not saying they will, but they could.
Yeah.
And a lot of times after a long playoff run, whether it's in football, basketball, baseball, tournament run, you look back to a game and you go, wow, we had luck on our side there.
How about a St. Mary's Wapakoneta regional championship?
Imagine that crowd, those communities. They're both crazy.
They're Liberty Center-esque.
Yes, especially St. Mary's. Because St. Mary, Wapak's been really, really good, the last 15, 20 years. St. Mary's been good the last 75 years.
Yeah.
And, traditions there.
Different world down there.
Uh-huh.
A lot like the MAC that we've mentioned. Going to take a break here from the Gerken companies, come back and break down this week's regional semifinals from the area.
Who says a college degree is the only path to a fulfilling career? At the Gerken Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods with or without a degree. Gerken provides a generous benefits package, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. We're looking for rock-solid performers to help build and reinforce the region's infrastructure. Whether you have construction experience or are just starting your career, apply now at gerkencompanies.com/careers.
Thank you again to the Gerken Companies for sponsoring our podcast this season. And basketball season getting closer. They're also sponsoring our basketball podcast and our basketball gamecast. You and Dave Krause will roll out a schedule here pretty soon.
Yeah, and we've already been looking at things. Coach Krause is pretty excited.
Is he?
Yes, he is. He's very excited to be on board. I think, he's still got that itch. He's super competitive. Coached after retiring from Patrick Henry, coached the University of Findlay, and then did radio for the University of Findlay, and he's got that itch, and he stays pretty well in tune to what's going on. So we're excited to have him. Let me ask you this: our basketball podcast, is the format going to be similar to last year, where we focus on interviewing coaches?
I think so. We had a discussion about the Putnam County League with a colleague in the media a week ago. I think that would be a good topic for discussion.
Oh. Yeah, the Putnam.
Get the Von Sassens and some of the folks.
Kevin McLaughlin had it rolling there, at Miller City, and Dave Sweet and some others at Ottawa Glandorf and those smaller Putnam County schools. It's just Hoosiers. It was Hoosiers every weekend. Dick Quartercracks at Kalida.
OG has still got it rolling. Some of the other ones have faded a little bit from, but boy, man, the PCL in the 80s, 90s, and even before that.
In those gyms, like I remember Miller City's old gym. They have since built a new one with their new school, but you'd get like a Miller City Leipsic game or a Miller City Ottoville, Miller City Kalida when Coach Quartercracks was there. Oh my gosh, Mac and Rita's before and after the game. Oh man, it was an event. Continental had it rolling.
You can go through the whole Putnam County League.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
at one point, they all had it rolling. And sometimes, at some points, they all had it rolling.
You got it. They did. They'd all be in the regionals or playing each other in the district. Yeah. Leipsic had some. I'll tell you what. One of the best teams in Northwest Ohio history was a Leipsic team that got knocked out by Lincoln View, by Brandon Pardon and those guys at Savage Arena at the University of Toledo. That Leipsic team with Bryce Schrader and some of these guys, they were unbelievable. And but they had to run into Lincoln View.
That
Leipsic team was good.
Yeah. Boy, those Lincoln View teams.
Oh, wasn't even fair.
Maybe we can get Brandon Pardon on here.
He'd do it. He's in Indiana.
I think so.
Believe he's in Indiana. He would do it in a heartbeat. He's very, very loyal, very close to Dan Dockage. If you kind of follow social media a little bit, because he played at Bowling Green.
Frank Kill.
Boy, he had it rolling there.
He had some style when he was patrolling the sidelines at LCC, didn't he? Jeez.
He did. The only coach that can even come close to his style is Craig Badenhop here.
Yep.
Greg can get away with wearing some things that I don't think you and I ever could.
No, Mr. GQ as far as
he was.
Basketball coaches go.
Yeah, and Frank Kill was that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had Wayno's trademark sweater.
Yep.
A sweater and turtleneck,
Yeah.
And Dick Quartercracks was a suit, and everybody has their own style. Basketball coaches are funny.
Wayno was like Louis Carnesecca at Old St. John's or Bobby Knight.
The owl
sweater.
Yeah, Louis Carnesecca called him the owl.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Boy, getting me excited about basketball season here.
It's a great sport.
We got to finish up the gridiron first, though, Coach.
Hopefully we have a few weeks left of this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Division 1, Region 1 this week. We still have Perrysburg playing. The Jackets will go to Elyria to play three-time defending state champion Lakewood St. Edward. The Eagles 7-5, 27.4 points per game, giving up 18.3 points per game. The number 2 strength of schedule in all of Division 1, according to Martin RPI. Perrysburg 10-2, 34.1 points per game, 10.6 points per game allowed. Their strength of schedule is ranked 51. First meeting ever in the playoff era going back to 1972 in this matchup. Josh Tackett's 119 and 195. He's over 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. The rushing department, they got a few of them. Nico Wakalski, 138 carries, 796 yards, 7 TDs. Josh Tackett, 739 yards on 128 keepers, 9 touchdowns. And then Joseph Sinney, 35 carries, 205 yards. He's kind of their touchdown guy. 13 TDs on the season. And then Dominic Woods leads them in receiving 38 catches, 557 yards, 4 TDs. And then J.D. Zeeb, 30 catches, 308 yards, and 2 TDs for Perrysburg. They get a state powerhouse this week at Elyria. Can Dirk Connor and crew pull off a little bit of an upset? Cal Preps has Lakewood St. Ed's a 20-point favorite, and Drew Pastor's Ohio Fantastic 50 has them as a 24-point favorite. Great work by Braden Martin. Go to his Twitter page.
Cool.
He put Ohio Fantastic 50 and Cal Prep spreads together, and then the median spread. So Lakewood St. Ed's, if you add both those together and average them out, they are a 22-point favorite against Perrysburg. Feel like that's about right for this game?
Unfortunately, I do feel like it's about right. Now, I've seen Perrysburg slay Goliath. I saw them do it. Now, it was at home when they hosted Massillon. Massillon rolled in there, and they didn't even know what hit them.
They rolled out without their coach, too.
They rolled out without their coach, which I've told this story. I knew that was going to happen before Monday because their superintendent went beelining out of there when they were down by about 6 scores in the second half. And I looked at, was standing there with Paul Yunker on the sideline. I go, this ain't going to be good. And, yeah, Jason Hall was gone before Monday morning. And Perrysburg pushed him around that night. So Perrysburg's played in some of these games. I know that was several years ago. But to me, this one, Lynn, just comes down to just sheer muscle. And you can play with a St. Ed's for a half. Mm-hmm. You can. And you see it a lot of times. Even in the college game, you can battle for a half, and then ultimately over the 48 minutes, the sheer size and strength and athleticism, shows its head. And I think that's how this one's going to be. And Perrysburg is going to have to play a near perfect football game, near perfect, to just have a chance. But I'm going with St. Ed's.
I'm going with St. Ed's as well. Neil Schuler also taking the Eagles in this matchup. Other side of the bracket in Region 1, Mentor 12-0 will take on 5th-seeded Canton McKinley, who is 8-4. That game will be at Medina High School. Mentor is the number 1 seed in Region 1. Mentor is ranked 2 by Braden Martin. Canton McKinley 20th. Ohio Fantastic 50 has Mentor as a 15-point favorite. Cal Preps has them as a 14-point favorite, so 14.5 points overall is Mentor in that one as far as spreads go. Other spreads around Division 1, coaches, were to the final 16 in each division.
Yeah, Hilliard-Davidson, they will play Wayne, and Hilliard-Davidson, 8.5-point favorite. Centerville and Dublin-Kaufman, Centerville, a 10.5-point favorite.
And those are the median spreads you're given.
Those are the medians, yes. Combination of the two. Olentangy-Liberty and Upper Arlington. Olentangy-Liberty, a 9-point favorite as far as the median. Pickerington North and Olentangy-Berlin. Pickerington North, 6.5-point favorite. Cincinnati-Moeller and Cincinnati-Princeton. Moeller, 22.5-point favorite. And Lakota West and Cincinnati-St. Xavier. Lakota West by a 0.5 point.
0.5 point, wow.
So Fantastic 50 says Lakota West by 2. Cal Preps has St. X by 1.
Wow.
Interesting.
Ooh, wow.
That's going to be a dandy.
Yeah, that'll be a great matchup coming up here this Friday night. Going to take a break, come back, and look at Division 2, where we have Anthony Wayne playing Medina Highland this week at Bellevue. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store off Route 24 on State Route 109, just south of Liberty Center, now has 88 unleaded fuel and is your one-stop shop for fuel, food, drinks, and much, much more, including locally raised meats and home-baked goods. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store is proud to support Black Swamp Football and is the host of the Black Swamp Football podcast, football show, and Saturday mornings Rise and Rewind. Stop in and see Glenn and Greg today and make American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store a part of your everyday routine. Thank you to the crew here at American Freedom Energy, Glenn and Greg Badenhop, gracious hosts over the years with Black Swamp Football. They had an outstanding tailgate here again last Friday with Millie's here. We're going to make the trip down to Millie's in Ottoville next Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday with Kenny and Brady Stabler. How cool is that?
I can't wait.
No, I'm looking forward to that. And I was excited when we rolled in here tonight. I was informed that the freezer is stocked with cheddar brats, which they'd been out of for a while. So that's what I'll be taking home tonight here. And maybe even some of the baked goods. Looks like they're restocked with some of those baked items, too.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah. Also, the Northwest District meeting is going to be right here at American Freedom Energy.
Are they doing it here?
Next week. Got word from Todd Peterson while we were at the Patrick Henry game on Friday night that it was confirmed they're going to have it here. So we'll have some coaches here. It's going to be sponsored by the Black Swamp folks.
Oh, nice.
Going to get some pizza and beverages. And
what night will that be?
That will be on November 20th, which November I believe 20th. Is next Wednesday, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good.
Next Wednesday.
Love it.
Coaches will be here. Excited to have them attend.
Yeah,
hopefully
thanks.
We can get quite a few of them here.
Yeah. Sometimes those events aren't as well attended as they should be. So some of my coaching buddies out there listening, make it a point to get here.
We may do some interviews. I don't know what the
I'd be willing.
Process is going to be, but it's possible. So if you're free next Wednesday, Coach may have you stop out and talk to some coaches.
Would love
while
to.
They're attending the district meeting. All right, Division 2, Region 6. Anthony Wayne, Medina Highland, both teams 12-0 coming into this one. Met a year ago in the regional semis, 31-10 Hornets in that one. Medina Highland also won 21-14 in the first round of the 2017 playoffs and 38-14 in the second round of the 2021 playoffs. Strength of schedule, Martin RPI has Anthony Wayne at 71, Medina Highland at 72. So kind of in the bottom third of Division II as far as their schedule strength goes. But is this one tighter than a year ago for Anthony Wayne and Andy Brungard and crew?
Boy, Division II. I know every division has their monsters. Division I, you have St. Ed's and Moeller. Every division has a monster. And boy, Anthony Wayne gets to a point every year where they run into those beasts. This version of Anthony Wayne, man, and there's certain things about this version of Anthony Wayne that you can't quantify because you can't measure chemistry. It's just it when you see it and you can feel it. And but is that going to carry the day for him?
It's kind of a matchup of strength on strength.
Yeah, it is.
They're both tough, physical. It'll be a rock fight for 48 minutes.
It will. Boy, the biggest mistake people can make is doubting Anthony Wayne.
The odds makers are doubting them.
Yep.
Ohio Fantastic 50 has Medina Highland a 15-point favorite. Cal Prep's a 21-point favorite. So 18-point favorite if you average those two out. They like the Hornets in this matchup.
So, when we're looking at games like this, I think, Medina Highland and Whitmer. What would that game look like? And because we know Anthony Wayne played a really, really solid game that night at home against Whitmer, but they're at Bellevue, you said, as a neutral
nice
site.
Facility.
Great facility there at Bellevue. I've made the mistake before of picking against the Generals, but I've got to go with my head here, Lynn. That's just that's a lot to overcome. I am going to go with Medina Highland in an absolute slugfest. Absolute slugfest. Yeah, I did it. Boy, I'm going to pay a steep price.
Andy Brungard, get another kick me sign or whatever you want to get together for this one. You
still have the original.
It, so he can just add another signature to that if they were able to pull off what the odds makers think will be a little bit of an upset this week. Neil Schuler likes the Generals.
Does he?
He's picking Anthony Wayne in this matchup. I am not.
Okay.
I'm taking Medina Highland.
Yeah, it's just
what they kind of did against St. Francis.
Yeah,
they jumped out. It was 14-0. St. Francis got it to 28-17 in the third quarter, but Highland just kind of controlled that game a week ago.
Yeah, they did. And when you look at Medina Highland, and the same can be said, with Avon and the other in the top of that bracket.
49-20.
Yeah. You just very few weaknesses, and sometimes when you're scouting your opponents, you try to find a guy or guys you can maybe you have an advantage in that. I just don't know how many advantages you're going to find when you're breaking down Medina Highland film. Now
52-7 over Fremont Ross. Now Anthony Wayne didn't play Fremont Ross this year, but a couple teams that are from this area, Fremont Ross and St. Francis, they absolutely blew out.
It makes you think that Fremont game could have been worse if they wanted it to.
Revere, a team that Central Catholic beat a week ago, 48-0.
Yeah.
Medina Highland beat them 41-0. So similar. I don't like to compare scores, but that's kind of all you can go on sometimes in high school football. But I think the Hornets are just a little too much.
They are, and Anthony Wayne. I mentioned the same thing about Perrysburg. Going to have to play near perfect. I think the best defense for AW is going to be their offense, possess the ball, and in order to do that, they're going to have to mix in some passes as well. You're not going to just run over Medina Highland, but that Anthony Wayne staff's as good at game planning, and as I will for a lot of these, Lynn, I'll be very anxious to see the updates roll in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's late second quarter and we have an update that says, hey, that game's 10-10. I think it could be
close for, 3 quarters into the fourth quarter. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Rest of Division II, Coach, as far as the odds go. You have that pulled up for me.
Yep. And the other side of that Anthony Wayne bracket, you have Avon and Wadsworth. The median pick there is Avon, 15.5-point favorite over Wadsworth. Walsh Jesuit and Austintown Fitch. Walsh Jesuit, 25, which is a big spread for regional semis.
Yeah, it is.
Akron Hoban and Macedonia Nordonia. Hoban, a 15-point favorite. Big Walnut down in Sunbury, and Ashland, Big Walnut, a 0.5 point. Similar to the one we mentioned in Division 1. Taze Valley and Massillon.
Oh, that one's big, isn't it?
That one's big. Massillon, 42.5 point favorite over Taze Valley. Wow, that'd be an upset. Anderson, we talked about them on Rise and Rewind. A lot of people like this Anderson football team to be a contender in D2. They are a 31-point favorite over Mount Healthy. And then the final game there in Division 2, Cincinnati LaSalle and Harrison. LaSalle, a 5-point favorite.
And Massillon is the lower-seeded team in that matchup, right? That they're a 42.5-point favorite. Just trying to point out some seeding mistakes here.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, I think it bears mentioning, to be honest with you.
So they are, let's see, what are they? Can't find it here. Lost my page, Coach.
Yeah, I did too.
They were the...
No, there's Massillon. They were the
three. They were the three.
They were three in Division 2, Region 7.
They were the three. Taze Valley's the 7 seed in that matchup.
Yeah, and the team that was the 2 already got knocked out.
Yes, they did.
Walnut Ridge.
Yeah, they did. Come back and talk about Division 3. Have a few more games to talk about there. We got 3 of them in Division 3, 1 in Region 10, and then 2 in Region 12 as far as WBL schools go there.
Hard-working individuals have been the heart of the Gerken companies for generations. Together we construct the highways and infrastructure that strengthen our communities. Gerken is seeking rock-solid performers. We offer generous benefits, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. Want to be part of something big, steady, and stable with room to grow? Whether you're experienced or just starting your career, we encourage you to apply at gerkencompanies.com/careers.
Thank you again to the Gerken Companies, Glenn Batenhop and Tory Strock, talking some Detroit Lions from a night ago. Did you stay up for that?
I did not.
Oh, jeez.
I did not. I hit the sack right at halftime, and I was just telling Glenn my mentality was, because the Texans played just a fantastic first half. I mean, they really had the Lions offense off balance, which only happened one other time this year. And so if they would have lost, I didn't necessarily need to see it. I figured, when I went to bed, 7-2 is still a really good start through the first 9 games, and woke up, checked the score, and I said, no way. And then I had to look for the field goal video, which that's as close as you can get to the upright without touching the upright.
Yeah.
So, boy, they find a way, man. The old Lions would have never overcome that.
You on board yet?
Yeah, I'm on board.
Okay.
I'm on board.
I know a year ago you were kind of wishy-washy and weren't quite sure.
It's a good memory because a lot of years of heartache, Lynn, being a Lions fan. A lot of heartache. And, boy, Dan Campbell, they just have an edge to them. They play really, really physical.
He played well. No doubt about it. Jared Goff didn't play so well last night. 5 picks that I see. Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Well, tough to overcome that, but they did. All right, Division 3, Region 10, Lexington, the Minutemen. They will play two-time defending state champion, I should say, Central Catholic at Tiffin on Friday night. Lexington now 7-5, 23.3 points per game, giving up 20.2 per game. Strength of schedule of 52. The Irish 11-1, 32.9 points per game. Number 1 strength of schedule in all of Division 3 for the Irish, which is no surprise there. Greg Dempsey goes out and schedules very good competition. They played one other time, 26 regional final. It was 19-0 Central Catholic in that matchup. The odds makers really like Central on this one, 35.5. Ohio Fantastic 50 gives the Irish a 34-point edge, and Cal Preps a 37-point edge in this one.
Yeah, I think they're probably right on par with that prediction. I don't see a scenario where Toledo Central Catholic lets down here, and I think they roll. And I unfortunately, Lynn, think those spreads are pretty accurate.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I'm going to take the Irish, and so is Neil Schuler. All smart picks there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go against Greg Dempsey and his crew. Let's move it to Region 12. We got a couple of Western Buckeye League teams still in action there. Wapakoneta, still undefeated, 12-0. They will play Bellbrook, who is 11-1 on the season. And then also St. Mary's will play London in another matchup there in Region 12. So we could see an all-Western Buckeye League regional final. Bellbrook and Wapak is at Troy this week. 1-1 all time is the series between these two teams. Bellbrook won 42-35 in the regional quarterfinals in 2021, and then Wapak won 21-0 in the second round of the 2020 playoffs. But I like Wapak to keep on rolling. Caleb Moyer, Caden Page, Grant Hauser, just an incredible team that Travis Moyer has down there at Wapak this season.
Yep, I think they're complete offensively, defensively in the trenches. You mentioned Moyer at quarterback. Special teams are solid. Wapak moves on, sets the stage potentially for an all-WBL regional final.
Get your St. Mary's London pick here in just a second. Neil Schuler also likes Wapak in that matchup, and so do I. All right, St. Mary's and London at Piqua coming up on Friday night. They played a couple times here in the last couple of years. 10-7 St. Mary's in the 2021 season opener, and then 42-31 St. Mary's in the 2022 season opener. London's strength of schedule, 97, according to Martin RPI. St. Mary's is 69, but boy, Western Buckeye League has shown their abilities here in the postseason. OG played Shelby very well a week ago, but this one's razor thin, I would say.
It is, and if you look at the Fantastic 50 and the Cal Preps, that's maybe the biggest discrepancy I've ever seen between the two, to be honest with you.
Fantastic 50 has London as an 11-point favorite, and then Cal Preps has St. Mary's, a 1-point favorite. So London, if you take the average, 5-point favorite there.
Yeah, I find that very interesting. Normally you don't have a double-digit discrepancy there. But, that's a tough pick. I think this is a tough pick. I think Leipsic, St. John's is a really tough pick. I made the mistake last week. I just was 99% ready to pick St. Mary's against Tippecanoe, and I couldn't pull the trigger. Got bit. Boy, it's hard to pick against these ground and pound teams week 13. You know what? I had London written down here. I'm going with St. Mary's Memorial. I am going with the Rough Riders. Because I won't be able to forgive myself if I don't this time, because I can't do that 2 weeks in a row with this close a margin. St. Mary's plays ball control and wins this game.
I think they do too.
Do you?
Is it going to be tight again, though? Are they going to have to?
Yep. It's going to be tight.
Bo Fry going to have to pull out his hair?
I don't think as crazy as a 4th and 20 late, but I think.
What's more crazy? 4th and 20 in the final minute, or you miss a PAT and then your kicker hits one a few minutes later to win the game?
The 4th and 20 to me.
Okay. Just because they're kind of a wing team.
So improbable.
Running,
yes. Yeah. And then, St. Mary's doesn't have that in their toolbox, Well, they do. But, So, I can't pick against them again. I like the Rough Riders.
Okay. I do too. I'm going to take St. Mary's, man. They're living the life right now. I don't know what it is. Sometimes you get on that roll, and maybe this week they just roll, like you said.
Yeah, they could.
Boy, I'd love to see a St. Mary's Wapak rematch.
Oh, man, me too.
From earlier in the season, Coach. Wouldn't that be absolutely epic?
Oh, imagine the crowd for that one.
Earlier this season, it was a Week 4 game. Wapak was a 28-14 victor in that one.
Doubled them up.
At St. Mary's in that one.
I think St. Mary's could close that gap a little bit.
I think they could too, the way they're playing, a little more confident at this point of the season. Rest of Division II, Coach, you have the odds for us. A lot of big spreads there. Only the one that's, I guess there's two that are single digits, the St. Mary's London game and then Gilmore Academy and Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy.
Yep, Youngstown Ursuline and Aurora. Ursuline, 20-point favorite. Gilmore Academy and Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. Gilmore, a 1.5-point favorite. Padua Franciscan and Benedictine. Benedictine, the team that knocked Defiance out last week. Benedictine, 18.5-point favorite. Bishop Watterson, a team a lot of people like to win it in D3. They play Licking Valley. And Watterson, a 28-point favorite. Licking Valley, a team that's been deep in the playoffs many times. Steubenville and Dover. Steubenville, 12-point favorite. And Wapakoneta Bellbrook, Wapak, 12.5-point favorite. So, Division III. Interesting. WBL, got to be proud of those two.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Did I give Neil Schuler St. Mary's London
pick? You did not.
He's taking the Rough Riders in
Is
that
he?
one. He's taking the Rough Riders. So a clean sweep for the Black Swamp crew in that one.
It's going to be tight, but I'm surprised all three of us.
Still like Central Catholic in Division III as your state championship pick, or is there somebody else out there that's drawing your attention now?
Yeah, I can't pick anyone else.
Benedictine?
Until somebody proves it. Not Benedictine.
No.
Now, Watterson, my question is, are they as good as everybody says? Because it sounds like they're the real deal. And if you know Ursuline, Ursuline's got some dudes. But yeah, I'm gonna ride, and then obviously Steubenville with Reno Sackatch down there. They're an institution,
no doubt about it.
But I can't pick against Central Catholic.
I can't either. I'm not going to change my state champion pick either from the Irish. Going to take a break here from the White Pines Golf Course. Ready to hit the links? Grab your clubs and head to White Pines Golf Course at 1640 County Road 2 in Swanton. For a tee time or to sign up for their events, call 419-875-5535 or visit whitepinesgc.com. Also, sign up for their early membership of $885 or $796.50 for seniors 55 and older. Early membership is play now, and greens fees are covered for the rest of 2024 and all of 2025. When you play White Pines Golf Course, the experience will exceed your expectations. Thank you to White Pines Golf Course for their support, and also the title sponsor of Saturday morning's Rise and Rewind, 8 a.m. again this Saturday morning. Should be a quick night for me, coming back from Maumee, not too far away, and don't have a ton of recaps to put together this week. So 8 good with you.
8 a.m.
Set that in stone, 8 a.m. Tune in on our Network 1 Sports link. You can hear the recap of all of the regional semifinals, and we will get you ready for the regional championship games next week. All right, the Napoleon Wildcats, a surprise to some that they're still playing, headed to the regional semifinals. They will play a rugged, tough, mean, nasty Sandusky Perkins team at Millbury Lake on Friday night. Great sight for that matchup. Sandusky Perkins' strength of schedule is 11. Napoleon's is better, though. Theirs is 7. Wildcats coming in, averaging 29.9 points per game, giving up 19.1. Perkins, 11-1. Their only loss to Milan Edison, who we will talk about here in a minute, in Division 5. 39.8 points per game, giving up just 5.7 are the Pirates this season. Last time these two teams met, 2011, 35-11 Perkins. Was that before your time at Napoleon, or were you at Napoleon then?
I coached that football game. 2008 was my first year, and we made the playoffs in 2009. We had a really good team, and then 2011 we went to Perkins, and I remember that game well. Their stadium was almost just brand new at that time. Beautiful facility there at Perkins, and they were good. They were good. And they were physical.
Yeah, that was a first-round game,
yes,
if I remember correctly, right, in 2011?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Perkins, quarterback, Sam Schweinfurth, 133 of 196, 2,250 yards, 30 touchdowns passing this season. So very efficient. Hasn't missed too many aerials this season. The running back, Isaac Bunce, 223 carries. He is 145 yards short of 2,000 on the season. 27 touchdowns. Michigan State commit Braylon Collier, 59 catches, 1,034 yards, 18 TDs. Maybe they're one of their better athletes. Weston Sturzinger hurt in preseason. He's committed to James Madison, tore his ACL, LCL, PCL, hamstring, and he also chipped his tibia in that injury in the preseason. So they're missing probably some people would say maybe their best athlete, second best athlete in Weston. Dylan Crabtree, 129 tackles. They also have a linebacker edge rusher that's going to Harvard. Mikey Young has 55 stops so far this season for Perkins. This is not a team that Napoleon has seen. I know they have the 7th best schedule in all of Division II, but I don't think they've seen anybody quite like this. No. Napoleon's, what has kind of told the story of their season is their rushing yards. They have 1,683 yards this season on the ground. They average 116 per game, but I think when they've won games, they've been in the 150 or more area. George Eggers has carried the load there. He's up over 1,200 yards, 203 carries, 22 touchdowns. Owen Espinoza, very efficient, 62.3% of his passes completed. He's 154 or 247, 18 TDs, just 5 interceptions. Trey Rubenstein, 63 catches. He's approaching 1,835 on the year, 9 TDs. Parker Woods, 23 catches, 2 TDs, 471 yards. Garrett Hall, he's back for the Wildcats here the last couple weeks. 22 catches, 397 yards, 3 TDs. Trey Rubenstein was the Defensive Player of the Year in the NLL Cardinal Division again, as he gets a lot of credit for his receiving prowess, but man, he's a really good defender for them as well. Garrett Hall actually leads them in tackles with 82. Trey has 71 tackles, but he has 13 tackles for loss and leads the team with 2.5 sacks, tied with Mr. Cordoba, who also has 2.5 sacks on the season.
Yeah, they do a really nice job of moving Trey around. Do you remember the Napoleon Clay game? Trey was in the Clay backfield numerous times. And so they choose their spots. They do a really nice job of picking and choosing when to bring Trey. And as you said, he's a stellar defender.
What do the odds makers say about this one?
Well, it is by far the biggest spread of any Division IV contests this week. Ohio Fantastic 50 likes Perkins by 30. Cal Preps likes Perkins by 24. And the next closest spread in Division IV is 12 points. The Taft Indian Hill game. So the thing about Perkins that'll be different for Napoleon is their first 2 playoff opponents, they're kind of cautious, kind of playing coverage, not real aggressive. Perkins will lock up and challenge you and then bring pressure. The whole thing for Napoleon is going to be keeping Owen Espinoza upright. The tough thing for Napoleon in this game, Lynn, is going to be running the football with any sort of consistency.
How many yards do they have to get on Friday night to give them a chance?
How many yards on the ground?
Yes.
Well, I think they're going to need 100 in a variety of different ways. It can't just be George Eggers off tackle. I think they're going to need 100. And the reason I say they need some rushing yards, because there's got to be some balance. If they are forced to totally abandon the run, then it's going to be a really difficult night. And that's kind of what, Bowling Green, if, for Wildcat fans, you think back to that Bowling Green game where Bowling Green just kind of out-physicaled them. Well, picture that Bowling Green team on steroids times about 3. And that's kind of what you get with Perkins. Now, what Napoleon does have, they've got big play potential. And I honestly believe that Napoleon can hit a couple of big chunk plays in this game. But I think slowing down that Perkins offense is going to be a tall order as well. And they're going to need to start fast, is Napoleon. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's a big spread. That's a lot to overcome. But Napoleon has built some big-time confidence the last couple weeks. But this is a different monster.
Perkins has 21 sacks on the season. Regan Kaufman leads them with 6.5. Josh McGlashan has 4.5. So they got some guys that can get after you as far as the pass rush.
Yeah, they do. And so I think one of the biggest things, if you watch some of the Napoleon film throughout the year, a lot of the stuff is taking deep shots to Rubenstein and Woods and things like that. In this game, you're not going to be able to hold it. It's going to have to. You remember the Defiance game where they just dinked and dunked?
Yeah.
And Defiance was playing soft, and Trey Rubenstein and those guys are just running hitches all night long. You're not going to get that with
Coach
Perkins.
Santoro's not going to stay back. They're attacking.
They're going to roll up, and they're going to pound you at the line, and they're going to take their chances. So Napoleon's going to have to get it out quick. And I think Napoleon has some really, really good passing concepts. They've got some route combinations and some things they do really well. I think they run some crossers, some crossing routes, and if they can catch Perkins in man-to-man and hit some of those crossers. But, again, it's going to begin and end with protection. And I don't care what your concepts look like. You can have route combinations that you got from Andy Reid at Kansas City. The question I always asked is, can we protect it? If you can't, throw it out the window. And so I think Napoleon's going to have to condense things a little bit to give themselves a chance.
How many points can you conservatively say Napoleon can, if they have a really good night defensively, hold this Perkins team to? With, you heard the numbers. They got a really good running back.
Yeah.
They have a receiver going to Michigan State. They haven't seen this type of. It's kind of like the Glenville teams that they've seen. Maybe not quite that, but not far off.
Not far off. Maybe not quite as speedy all over the field, but tenacity, physicality, very similar to Glenville. I think that's a fair.
Can you hold them under 30?
Well, I was going to say this. To answer your question, you're right there. I was going to say 28. 28 would be a stellar
with
effort.
Some turnovers and.
Yeah, you're going to have to. And I think 28 would be a great effort by Napoleon. Now, can they score 28 plus against that Perkins defense? Parker Woods and Trey Rubenstein and Garrett Hall, and then George Eggers is actually excellent in the passing game. He really, really is. And but yeah, can they protect it? I'm very, very excited to follow how this game plays out. And I'm just curious, as we near halftime, Lynn, if we get an update that says Napoleon and Perkins are tied at 7. Or, it's 10-7 or something like that.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I'm taking Perkins in this one. This is just a different deal.
It's a different animal. This would be a major upset. You have Napoleon was 1-3 in their conference. So they did heat up here in the postseason, obviously. But you are who you are at this point in the season, and Perkins is the pick. I'm going to go with Perkins as well because I have to keep pace with you guys. But I'm curious to see if Trey and Parker and Owen and George and those guys can.
You better pack a lunch because you're going to get sacked.
Yeah. There's going to be. That was good. You're
going to have some adversity, so you better be able to battle the adversity that you're going to see in this one because you're. Like I said, you're going to get knocked down a few times. You're not going to win a lot of plays in this one.
No, and when we played there in 2011, Lynn, the game you mentioned, we actually played a really, really solid football game. Yeah. We had Bryant Schlade and Zach Fielder that we had moved up to defensive end that game. Like we played really, really good, and we hung in there for the first half. But it's just, you start playing uphill and they start running downhill at you. It's a different animal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Neil Schuler likes Sandusky Perkins as well in this matchup. The rest of the Division 4 spreads for us here, Coach.
Yep, absolutely. Glenville, a team that Napoleon's very familiar with, Cleveland Glenville, they play Menor Lake Catholic. Menor Lake Catholic's a team in Division 4 a lot of people like, but they play the Tarblooders, and Glenville is a 9.5-point favorite. Now, pretty big discrepancy. Cal Preps likes Glenville by 16. The Fantastic 50 likes them by only 3. So a discrepancy the other way. Last time it was, so we'll see. Perry and Streetsboro. Perry, the Pirates, right?
Yes.
Perry is a 6-point favorite.
Can I stop you there real quick?
Yes, you may.
So a lot of people have asked about South Range this season, what kind of team they have. Perry beat Struthers last week 3-0. Okay. Struthers and South Range, they played at the midway point of the season. South Range put it on them 37-13. So if you remember what that Perry team was, now they lost a handful of seniors. They didn't have a lot of seniors on that class, very junior laden. But South Range beat that same Struthers team 37-13.
37 on them.
Just saying.
That's some good perspective.
Yeah.
Whatever it means, it means.
Yeah,
but that's good perspective, actually. Shelby and Ontario. That's a rematch from this season. Fantastic 50 says Shelby by 4. Cal Prep says Shelby by 1. Median spread there is Shelby by 2.5. St. Clairsville and West Holmes, they like St. Clairsville, the median spread, by 6.5 points. Indian Valley and New Lexington, Indian Valley by 7. Cincinnati Indian Hill and Cincinnati Taft. Taft by 12. 12-point favorite there. And then Kettering Archbishop Alter and Taylor Alter by 8.5.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, Alter's just one of those programs. There'll be a factor there in Division 4. They just will with their tradition. Glenville, we've heard, they have some studs coming up,
yes,
right?
That's what I've heard, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Shelby beat Ontario week 9, 50-36.
Oh.
So 86 scored in that one from a month ago. Rematch.
Remember the billing of that game with the two quarterbacks, because Ontario has a stud too.
Yeah, they do.
At quarterback.
Yeah, they do. Take a break, come back, and talk about, you ready? Region 18 and Division 5. We got a couple of dandies this week.
Oh, boy.
All right. We'll come back and talk about those matchups after this break. K. Kern Painting is a proud sponsor of Northwest Ohio Athletics. K. Kern Painting was formed in 1998 by Kinsey Kern in Toledo and now has a footprint in Toledo, Cleveland, and Michigan, and has road crews traveling throughout the United States. For a free estimate or job opportunities with K. Kern Painting, visit their website at kkernpainting.com or call 419-351-1250 or stop by their Toledo location at 211 North Reynolds Road. Thank you to Kinsey Kern for his support this season and all that we do. Kinsey's been an absolute great sponsor of not only area athletics, but also us. Thank you to Kinsey so much for his support. All right, Coach. Division 5, Region 18. We finally are there. The matchups that we've been dreaming of since August, September. And I'm glad we're calling one of them so we don't have to pick it.
No, thank goodness. Put Neil Schuler on the spot for that
Neil
one.
Schuler's going to have to pick the Oak Harbor Liberty Center game that's coming up at Maumee. That will be our game cast this week, presented by 3Chord. Cannot be more excited to call that one. Also in Region 18, Eastwood and Milan Edison, another rematch from a week ago. They will play that one at Clyde. Let's start with the Liberty Center Oak Harbor game, Coach. Oak Harbor comes in 12-0. 44.2 points per game, giving up 8.7. Strength of schedule is 62. Eerily similar to these two teams. Liberty Center also 12-0, 43.8 points per game, giving up just 3.5 after shutting out Liberty Benton last week. Strength of schedule for the Tigers, 57. Third time these two teams have met in the playoffs since 2018. 14-0 LC in Week 12 of the 2018 regional semis. And then last year, 45-14 Tigers in the regional semifinals. That game was at Clay. Some stats for you. Oak Harbor, 15 first downs. Liberty Center, 20 in that game a year ago. Rushing yardage, Oak Harbor 57, Liberty Center 331. Tigers controlled the trenches in that one. Passing, Oak Harbor 21 of 34, so they were pretty efficient as far as their completions go. 248 yards, 1 touchdown. Liberty Center was 10 of 16, 195 yards passing. Oak Harbor had 59 plays, Liberty Center 54. Total offense, Oak Harbor 305, but Liberty Center put up 526. Both teams had 4 penalties. Oak Harbor's 4 penalties went for 21 yards. Liberty Center's went for 44 yards. Liberty had 3 sacks in that one for minus 19 yards, which kind of cut down on the rushing yardage for Oak Harbor, but not that much. They were still well under 100 yards for that one. Third down efficiency. This is interesting from a year ago. Oak Harbor was just 3 of 13, so probably had a lot of third and longer situations. Liberty Center just had 8 third downs in that matchup. They were 5 of 8 on third downs in that matchup. Player stats. We saw Michael Lalonde, the quarterback for Oak Harbor, earlier this season at Maumee. He was, 21 of 34, 252 yards, 1 touchdown. In the rushing department, he had 6 keepers for 5 yards. He was sacked for those 19. He had a gain of 24. So that average figures out to a net of 5 yards. Carson Reidner, he had 17 yards on 6 carries. Jaquai Hayward, who was their absolute burner out wide a year ago, 4 carries for 4 yards. And then Dalton Witter had 9 carries for 30 yards in that matchup. Receiving, Hayward, 9 catches, 118 yards. So he had a big night, did Mr. Hayward, in that matchup for Oak Harbor. On the Liberty Center side, as far as rushing goes, the Cruz boys had a big night. Colton Cruz, 122 yards. Trenton Cruz, 118. Waylon Rentz, who was back this season, 91 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, same as Trenton Cruz, who had 2. Landon Amstutz, 10 of 15 passing, 195 yards. He had 5 completions to Landon Cruz for 114 yards in that one.
Big night for the Cruzes, as you said.
The Cruzes had a big night, yep. Huh. You've seen Oak Harbor. You've seen Liberty Center this season. Give me a little analysis from a coaching perspective and what we'll see on Friday night at Kazmaier Stadium.
Boy, this is a tough one. I think I like Oak Harbor's balance. I like their balance. I like their quarterback's ability to run the football. Michael Lalonde, super impressed with him at Maumee that night. Carson Reidner, one of the most physical, fastest downhill runners I've seen in a long time.
Similar to Waylon Rentz.
Similar.
But just gets to that hole and a little bit more speed.
Yeah, a little bit more speed. Rentz is a little more of a banger in there. This one, Lynn,
then they have Thompson out at receiver. He can fly.
He's a burner. Yeah. And this one's going to come down to the trenches. And the question's going to be, can Oak Harbor hold up there? Because they've got a lot of ground to make up from a year ago. And I know Liberty Center lost some just tremendous football players, but Ottawa Hills lost some too, or Oak Harbor lost some too. So, I think this is strength on strength. I thought Oak Harbor had good size and physicality at Maumee that night. When Maumee hurt Oak Harbor, 90% of that was through the air, with kind of their RPO type passing game.
Yeah, they struggled to run it that night. Yeah. I have to go back and see if I can find the stats of what Maumee did that night.
Yeah, most of their damage was through the air for sure. I think I'll be curious to see if Liberty Center is able to get some things with the play-action game like they did so well last year. They were able to move the ball on Oak Harbor a little bit that way. On paper, I would have to think Liberty's going to need some balance.
Are they going to have to throw it this week?
I think they're probably going to have to hit some passes. I don't think they have to throw it 20 times, but I think they're going to need to hit a waggle or a boot pass, bootleg, or some type of belly power pass where it's real simple. They're going to ask the quarterback to just dump it off in the flat, but I think they're going to need some of that to keep Oak Harbor honest.
Maumee had 49 yards rushing that night on 31 carries.
Wow, less than I thought. Okay, I remember the Oak Harbor.
Now, Maumee's not the rushing that Liberty Center is, but just giving you a little perspective on what we saw that night.
Yeah, and so I only saw Liberty Center and Patrick Henry this year. Now, I've seen plenty of other highlights and things against other teams. But Liberty Center's just rugged, super rugged, super well coached, as we know. I think they're as good or better than anybody at making adjustments in the run game. They're never going to make wholesale changes to what they do, but they are really, really good. If you throw a defensive front and some stunts at Liberty Center that they maybe necessarily didn't expect, they do a great job at halftime of changing, whether it's a blocking angle or, hey, we got a double team here or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's an even-Steven matchup, but Liberty Center has got to feel good going in, because last year was last year, but their guys tasted victory in that game, and a lot of those guys remember that.
Yeah.
And so, Liberty Center loses the Cruz boys that had such a big game.
Landon
Bachleman, Seth Navarre. And Eastwood.
Liberty's getting a little bit healthier.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Yeah. And so guys like Michael Lalonde was a junior a year ago. Carson Reidner, they're a year older. So we're spoiled to be able to call this game. I'm tickled to death. This Division 5 Region 18 semifinal bracket, just unbelievable.
Neil Schuler likes Liberty Center in this one. You and I not picking it with us. Yep. Calling it. The odds makers like Liberty Center. Both of them give them a double-digit edge in this one. Fantastic 50. 12-point favorite is Liberty Center. And Cal Preps has the Tigers as an 11-point favorite. So 11.5 if you average those out.
I think that's interesting. That's a big spread for a game on paper.
Yeah.
That's this even, but I think last year it was pretty even too on paper, right? Were they both undefeated when they locked horns last year? So, but Liberty Center, I mean, their track record doesn't lie. And there's times where people thought that Liberty Center was going to be in a dogfight, and they've rolled. So I'm excited to see this one. And what did Oak Harbor learn from last year?
No doubt about it.
They're going to take some lessons from that.
Yeah, we'll have the call starting at 6:30 with our pre-game from Maumee on Friday night on our network sports link. We'll get that on our website, social media. You can find all of that on all of our website, social media, all them links out there. Also in Region 18 on the other side of the bracket, Eastwood 11-1 against 12-0 Milan Edison. This is a matchup from a year ago that Milan Edison won 38-7. This is a Milan Edison team that beat Perkins. There were some people I know questioning, why was their game against Gibsonburg so close? 12-7 back in week 3. Well, found out that game was played in a monsoon. I know we haven't got a lot of rain in this area, but they did that night when Gibsonburg and Milan Edison met, and it sounded like it was impossible pretty much to do anything.
Yeah.
So that gives you a little substance of what happened that night. But Edison rolled in this game a year ago. Eastwood 24 rushes, 212 yards. Edison 32 rushes. They put up 371 on the ground. Only threw it 4 times. Did Edison a year ago, 3 of 4 for 78 yards. Eastwood was 10 of 20 for 74 yards in that one. No fumbles lost, no interceptions on either side, so turnovers were not a factor. Eastwood was actually 5 of 11 on third downs. Milan Edison was 3 of 7 in that matchup a year ago.
I almost got burnt picking against Eastwood in that Oak Harbor game, and
I can give you a few more facts on this one if you need a little more info on this Edison Eastwood matchup.
Love it.
Edison won 28-7 in the 2016 regional semis. 38-7 a year ago in the regional quarterfinals, as I mentioned. Edison on the season, 471 rushing attempts, 3,298 yards, 43 TDs on the ground. Only thrown 114 passes, completed 69 of those, 1,134 yards, 11 TDs, 8 HERMs, 68 of 113 passing, over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. Cy Fennon, 145 rushes, 979 yards, 12 TDs. Bryson Whitmore, 93 totes, 864 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns. David Went has 550 yards receiving, 5 TDs on 34 stags. And then Cy Fennon also has 76 tackles this season so far for that Edison defense. And then you've got the skill of Sam Cotterman's crew. I mean, they put up some outstanding numbers this year. Have the Eagles.
I have trouble picking against ground-based offenses, especially this time of year, and also recent history. The Edison win over Perkins, I just
grabs your attention.
I just can't get that out of my mind. And Eastwood has the skill guys to score with them. Can they keep the ball away from Edison's ground attack?
Can they stop them?
Can
Couldn't
they
stop Norway a week ago?
No.
They did that. They did in their goal line stand late in that one
when it counted.
Yeah,
right?
They had a couple plays from just inside the one there to end it. Did Eastwood. Eastwood has ran for 1,668 yards this season, passed for 2,891 yards, 170 to 245 passing this season so far is Eastwood. Drew Ludhart, he's had a huge season, completing almost 70% of his passes. He's 161 to 232, 35 touchdowns so far this season, just 7 interceptions in the receiving department. Andre Lewis up over 1,000 yards, now 59 catches, 1,007 yards on the season. Cam Shoemaker, 33 catches, 716 yards. Daquan Oliver, 30 grabs, 508 yards. But can Eastwood, they're going to have to play better defense this week. I would dare say this is a lot better offense than Norway that they saw a week ago.
Yeah.
So I got to, sorry, Coach Cotterman and crew, I got to take Edison in this matchup.
I do too, and I think Eastwood has a chance to be right there. I mean, they, like I said,
they played right there with Oak Harbor.
Yes, they did. And I too like Edison. Weather, Friday night, of course, depending on where you're at, it looks like it'll be in the mid 40s at kickoff. A little bit of a breeze, 8 to 10 mile an hour, but this time of year, really nice playoff weather.
See the weather for next Friday? 30 mile an hour winds possible is what I'm seeing right now.
Wow.
For the regional finals. I'm not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves, but looked at the future cast, and they're saying next Friday for the regional finals could be a little breezy around Northwest Ohio.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. I like the ground and pound teams even better on nights like that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Edison as well. But don't be surprised if Eastwood's right there late in that game.
No, I agree.
Our median spread, they like Edison by 7.5. Cal Preps likes Edison by 7, and Fantastic 50 Edison by 8. So pretty close there.
Okay. Neil Schuler also likes Milan Edison in this matchup. Rest of Division 5, South Range, 21-point favorite over Garraway coming up on Friday night. Akron, Manchester. They are playing Poland Seminary. Poland Seminary, a 2-point favorite. Ohio Fantastic 50 has Poland Seminary as a 5-point favorite. Cal Preps has Akron, Manchester as a 1-point favorite in that one.
Interesting.
Yeah. Gave you the odds for the 2 games from Region 18. How about this one? Ironton, Harvest Prep, playing that game at Waverly. This says a lot. Fantastic 50 has Ironton as a 20-point favorite over Harvest Prep. and Cal Preps has them as a 13-point favorite. This Harvest Prep team is pretty darn good. That says a lot.
Yeah, Perkins played Harvest Prep this year.
Yeah.
Sandusky,
I think it was a
Perkins.
1-point game.
Yeah, Perkins won it.
22-21.
Yeah.
So, tells you what kind of team that
Ironton has.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And also, what Harvest Prep has, too.
Yeah.
West Muskegon and Wheelersburg in a matchup down at Athens. West Muskegon is a 4.5-point favorite in that one. Greenview, who knocked off Lima Bath a week ago, they're playing Indian Lake. Greenview is a 5-point favorite in that one. And then West Liberty Salem and Waynesville. Waynesville is a 13.5-point favorite overall in that matchup down in the southwest region of Ohio.
Boy, Division 5. Whew. Man, oh man. Liberty Center. All 4 teams in Region 18. Liberty Center, Oak Harbor, Eastwood, Edison, Ironton, Harvest Prep, South Range. Whew. Man, oh man.
Some staying power.
Ooh, yeah.
And Division 5 is it's just going to keep getting better and better and better as we go.
Is.
And if one of our local teams can survive that gauntlet, boy, they're going to have to earn it to win D5 this season.
Be a couple of them knocked out Friday night, though.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah.
Or both could still be playing on after Friday night.
No, I'm saying one of those 4 or 2 of those 4 in Region 18.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought you were talking about our local teams.
Oh, no.
Because we could have an LC Eastwood.
Oh, easily.
Regional championship.
Easily.
Yeah,
easily.
I know what you're saying now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't understand what you were saying, but yeah.
Yeah.
Get down to the final 8 in each region. Going to take a break, come back, and talk about Division 6. A couple of rematches from a year ago there as well.
High school seniors, uncertain that college is right for you? Concerned about the cost of higher education? At the Gerken Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods even without a degree. That's a good living straight out of high school with no tuition debt. Starting pay between recent college grads and those with high school diplomas is closer than you might think. So if you enjoy teamwork, working outdoors, and being part of something meaningful, consider your options at GherkinCompanies.com/careers.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. All right, Division 6 time to talk about Region 22. Rematches from a year ago. This one was a Division 7 game a year ago. Patrick Henry and Hopewell-Loudon. They will play at Donnell Stadium in Findlay. Perfect site for this matchup between the Patriots and Chieftains. Patrick Henry coming in at 10-2, 33.5 points per game. Now giving up just 6.3. One of the top defenses in all of Division 6. Hopewell-Loudon 11-0, 36.2 points per game, 6.7 allowed. So both teams have played really good defense. As far as strength of schedule, Martin RPI likes Hopewell-Loudon a little bit better, 30th in Division 6. Liberty Center is 44. And keep in mind, they've played Columbus Grove and Liberty Center.
Yep.
Now, that just is regular season. This postseason does not factor in to this one. This was a game that you had on the Gamecast a year ago, right, at Bowling Green?
Yep.
Was this game a year ago?
Yes, it was.
Patrick Henry jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter. Houston Miranda, a 5-yard run. Lincoln Krager, a 5-yard reception from Landon Johnson.
Yeah.
Landon Johnson throw one to Lincoln, huh? And that
trying to remember that play.
Well, Philly special or something.
Yeah, it could have been something like that.
Landon Johnson throwing the pass there. So it was 14-0 with 1:21 to go in the first quarter. Hopewell-Loudon finally got on the board. 6:42 of the second quarter to close the gap to 14-7. Or was it 14-7? Yep, 14-7. Third quarter, Patrick Henry got that score back. Another Houston Miranda 5-yard run. Braylon Martinez, who was back for Hopewell-Loudon, he had a 22-yard reception. And then Thomas Smith kind of sealed it for PH 10 seconds into the fourth quarter, 34-yard catch from Lincoln Krager. Time of possession was a big story in this one. Patrick Henry, they had the ball for 10:36 in the first quarter of that one a year ago. Now that I think back, I remember that.
Kind of remember that.
Kind of evened out, 6 minutes for each team in the second quarter, but then Patrick Henry, 8:14. They held it in the third, and then for 7:12 in the fourth quarter. So they had a 32-minute and 2-second advantage to 15 minutes and 58 seconds. So twice what the Chieftains had in that one. Lincoln Krager, 21 rushing attempts, 91 yards. Houston Miranda, 25 rushing attempts, 76 yards. He scored those 2 touchdowns. Landon Johnson, 5 receptions, 68 yards for Patrick Henry. Lincoln Krager was 8 of 13, 126 yards, 1 touchdown. Landon Johnson, that 1 pass that was also completed for a touchdown. Braylon Martinez, 12 carries, 21 yards, as Hopewell-Loudon tried 18 rushes for 29 yards. And this Patrick Henry defense is, I would dare say, even better than a year ago. We'll see how that plays out. Hopewell-Loudon just 11 of 22 passing, 140 yards, so just 169 yards for the Chieftains. Patrick Henry had 298 in that one. PH has allowed 842 rushing yards this season after that carry game a week ago on 366 tries.
Yep, that's the difference.
Columbus Grove and Liberty Center have figured big into that 842 margin, but otherwise they've been really good. Braylon Martinez getting close to 1,000 yards for Hopewell-Loudon. He is 59 yards away, 19 touchdowns, 139 carries. Helen Frankert, 706 yards rushing on 130 attempts with 9 TDs. And then Jacoby Ellis, 114 of 169 passing with 11 touchdowns overall. Hopewell-Loudon has 26 sacks this season. That's a pretty big number. Joe Ewald, Aiden Ewald, and Mason Reinhardt each have 5 sacks for them. They allowed 236, just a little info here for you because Patrick Henry just played carry. They allowed 236 yards rushing on 46 attempts against Cary and 118 against Margaretta. Now they held Gibsonburg to 45 yards on 26 attempts, did Hopewell-Loudon. So got gashed by Cary, but slowed down the Gibsonburg attack. If that tells you anything, we just saw Cary and Patrick Henry absolutely stonewalled them.
Yeah, they did. I think that Hopewell-Loudon's going to have to throw the football to have success against Patrick Henry's defense. They're not going to grind it out. And when you throw the football against Patrick Henry's defense, here comes Grant Smith, here comes Trent Johnson, Jaden Punches, Lincoln Krager. That spells trouble. I'm telling you. So I like.
Well, teams aren't much better throwing it this year on PH. 60 of 149, 550 yards, 2 touchdowns. They've thrown 7 interceptions. So 3 times the amount of interceptions as opposed to touchdown tosses against them this season. Lincoln Krager up over 1,000 yards passing now on the season, 1,052, 14 TDs. He has in the rushing department 1,298 yards. And then Cal Schrader, who has came on here late as he's gotten the start in the backfield, 44 rushes, 313 yards. He's averaging 7.1 per carry. Lane Jackson up to 313 yards on 18 catches, 5 TDs. Trent Johnson also 5 TDs. Only has 14 catches on the season, 249 yards. And then Kiefer Holloway, 10 catches, 156 yards, 2 TDs. A couple of those against against Liberty Center earlier this season. They've been really good on the ground as Patrick Henry as a rushing unit, 383 carries, 2,967 yards, 42 TDs rushing this season. Akevian Kreider, 111 tackles, 8 tackles for loss. Grant Smith, he had 3 sacks against Cary last week. He now has 100 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 8 pressures so far this season.
Yeah, 100 tackles for Grant Smith is really impressive when you consider the fact that teams identify where he's at and try to go away from him, and still.
Well, you're going to run at Trent Johnson?
Yeah, pick your poison, and so Smith still has 100. And it's unbelievable, but that defense I didn't realize they were that good against the pass. But those defensive numbers, man, defense will travel. When you have a dual threat quarterback like Lincoln Krager, 1,000 over the 1,000 yard mark, throwing and running. I think Lane Jackson is an underrated receiver. Kiefer Holloway, for my money, is one of the X factors for Patrick Henry. And then Trent Johnson, we haven't seen him catch a lot of passes here in the postseason, but he's there when they need him. And Bill Inselman's he'll have it schemed up to get him some touches. So I'm going with the Patrick Henry Patriots in this one, Lynn. And it's not going to be easy because Hopewell-Loudon will be schemed up to try to limit Lincoln Krager. You mentioned Cal Schrader. He is one of the late bloomers for the Patriots. He has a running style. He gets downhill, super great acceleration, and then finishes runs. He will lower the boom on you, even though he's not a 200-pound guy. He'll smack you. And I think that element makes Patrick Henry that much better offensively.
Give me RoboCop as Delta head coach Mike Vickers has dubbed Lincoln Krager and the Patriots. And I think it's going to be more than what you think. I think they roll.
Do you?
In this matchup. Hopewell-Loudon going to run the ball on them?
No. So the median spread here, according to Cal Preps and Fantastic 50, Patrick Henry by 7. You like the Patriots by more than 7?
Yeah, I think they win by double
plus?
digits. Yeah.
Do you? What was the Kerry Hopewell-Loudon score?
Kerry Hopewell-Loudon?
It was close, wasn't it?
Yes. Give me 1 second. 27-22 Hopewell-Loudon.
Oh, 27.
Back in week 1. No, I don't think Kerry had all of their guys possibly at that point of the season. They did beat Gibsonburg 27-14. That was their other big win, but they also beat Danville, who was 10-2. You see if Danville's still alive. Division 7. They beat Notre Dame last week in Bridgeport. Beat them by a combined 114-2 the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Now, I don't know that Danville has played a monster schedule. Did beat Centerburg, who was 8-4. I think they lost to North. Yeah, they lost to Northmore last week. I don't know. I know Braden Martin has Hopewell-Loudon as a better strength of schedule. I guess I don't know. They beat Tiffin Calvert, who was 7-5. Danville 10-2. But let's see, winning records 1, 2. Have only beaten 3 teams with a winning record. 4 if you add Seneca East from a week ago to that mix.
What was the Hopewell-Loudon Tiffin Calvert score?
26-0.
26-0. Okay. Delphos St. John's, who's a 15 seed, beat Calvert last week, Saturday night.
27-0.
27-0. Not sure what that tells us, but I like the Patriots, but I think it's going to be low scoring, Lynn. I think it's going to be low scoring.
Okay.
When I say low scoring, I'm thinking more 21-7.
They gave up 236 rushing yards to Kerry.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the addition of
Cal
Schrader, I think makes a huge difference. And what's going to be cool to see is Patrick Henry's going to evolve. It's not just going to be lining him up in the I formation and giving it to him on isolations off tackle. They're going to do some things out of the gun too, I think, where they get him the ball in a little more diverse fashion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Patrick Henry rolls. It may be even they may win by 21 plus. If I was a brave man, I'd pick them by 21 plus.
Dang. All right.
I just think it's going to be a long night for Hopewell-Loudon. I don't think it's a good matchup for them. I think you're going to have to throw the ball a little bit to beat Patrick Henry unless you're the caliber of a running game like
Kirtland or somebody
Liberty
like that.
Center. Yeah.
No, you could be right.
Yeah. Neil Schuler also likes Patrick Henry in that matchup. Also in Division 6, Region 22, Ottawa Hills, 10-1. They will play Bluffton, who is 11-1. That game is at Defiance. Ottawa Hills scoring 46.3 points per game, giving up just 9.4. Their strength of schedule, though, 89. Bluffton 11-1, lone loss to Columbus Grove, scoring 40 points per game, giving up 8.9. Strength of schedule of 58. Chase Miller, 2,041 yards passing for the Green Bears, 36 TDs. Rocco Pillarelli over 1,600 yards now on the season after the victory over Fairview last week. He has 16 touchdowns. This game was 34-0 Bluffton. They kind of bludgeoned Ottawa Hills in the trenches a year ago, and probably a Ottawa Hills team that was quite a bit better in the trenches a year ago with some of the guys they graduated up front.
Yeah.
Is Bluffton back on track?
I think Bluffton is super physical against everyone not named Columbus Grove. I think it's one of those things. They have the confidence. They have a little chip on their shoulder, a little bit of swagger against teams that they maybe are favored against. I just the last 2 years haven't seen that mettle. Now, I know their games last year against Grove were super competitive. I'm not saying they weren't. But what I saw this year was just a bully job by Grove in that game. And so it makes me question Bluffton's mettle a little bit. And it's going to come down to the trenches. I think it's strength on strength on the flanks.
Yeah.
Ottawa Hill's outstanding skill players. Bluffton's got a couple of running backs that can run you over and a couple of really nice receivers. Can Ottawa Hills close the gap from 34-0? I think they can. But I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Green Bears.
Yeah, I like Bluffton in this matchup myself. It's just too big of a gap to overcome.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bluffton Pirates also. Curious what the halftime score looks like. Curious what the halftime score looks like. Because those Pillarelli brothers and Chase Miller, those guys are super, super competitive. They are super competitive. And we know Coach Carter's a competitor.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, Neil Schuler is going to take Bluffton in that matchup as well. He also has Patrick Henry, if I did not mention that a little bit earlier. Going to come back and talk about our final division, Division 7, and also the 8-man state championship game coming up this week as well. The Swanton Welding Company proudly supports our local student athletes and coaches. We're committed to being your local steel fabrication company in Northwest Ohio and building projects across the country. For job opportunities at the Swanton Welding Company, visit www.swantonweld.com or visit them at 407 Zyder Way in Swanton. Thank you to our good friend Norm Zyder at the Swanton Welding Company for his continued support with Black Swamp football. All right, Division 7, Region 26, a couple area teams still alive there. We're going to start with the game at Fostoria, Mohawk against Columbus Grove, who has it really, really rolling. This is Columbus Grove's 18th appearance in the state playoffs with a record of 34-16. Grove beat Mohawk 35-23 in the 2002 regional semifinals. Grove is 5-4 all-time versus the Northern 10 Conference, 5-2 in the postseason. In regional semifinal appearances, Columbus Grove has a record of 7-5. Their wins in the regional semifinals are in 2001, 2002, 2003, 2014, 2020, 2022, and 2023. In neutral site games, the Bulldogs are 15-14. These are all stats courtesy of the great Ned Steckschulte. Boy, he's got every number in Columbus Grove football history. Columbus Grove has outscored its opponents 279-47 in the first half of games this season. So they've gotten off to really, really good starts. A team total of 501 points is the second most in history behind the 545 points scored in the 2003 season when they won the state championship. I would say that record is in major jeopardy with only 44 more to go to get there. Trenton Braza now stands at 5,852 yards for his career with 60 touchdowns. Kyle Hopkins, the quarterback who has taken over for Columbus Grove, 44 of 62, 739 yards, 13 TDs. I think Mr. Hopkins has figured out the quarterback position quite well in place of Landon Best, who was hurt in Week 3 against Patrick Henry. Kylan Mays, 93 tackles, 9 sacks. Luke Groach, 5 sacks. Levi Schrader, 107 tackles. Landon Houston, 104 tackles. Jamison Rader, 94 tackles. Leighton Blankmeyer. You just go right down the list.
Yeah.
Eversole, Basinger.
Love that defense.
Meyer at center.
Love it. Love it.
We could talk all night about this Columbus Grove team.
Could you imagine Kylan Mays and Grant Smith on the same defensive line? Could you imagine?
Oh.
Those two are as dominant as I've seen at that level in a long, long time.
Yeah, they're really good. Is Columbus Grove, how big of a favorite are they in this matchup in your mind and also in the experts' mind?
Well, what's crazy in Division 7, Lynn, there are 4 games with spreads over 28.
Really?
4 of them.
Wow.
Columbus Grove's game's one of them. The median spread for Columbus Grove, they are 31-point favorites over Mohawk. I think I would say 21 to 24.
Okay.
Would not be a bit surprised if Grove rolls to a 31-plus point win. Wouldn't be surprised. But regional semifinals, got to give Mohawk some credit. Nice tradition there in that program. So I'd say Grove 21-24 points. And, Marion Local, 42.5-point favorite in the regional semifinals.
How many? 42.5?
42.5.
Jeez.
Minster, a 39-point favorite. And then the other big one, Danville, is a 28.5-point favorite. Wow, some big spreads there.
Yeah. Trenton Brazett, I failed to mention this, 283 yards away from breaking the great Blaine Mag. If you didn't see Blaine Mag play, you missed out. I mean, one of the best running backs ever, any division in this area. I mean, the dude was getting recruited by Notre Dame and was up for Mr. Ohio.
He was a bully.
I mean, he was a bad man. 283 away is Trenton Brazett. Does he get it? Not just this week.
No, I know.
But the rest of the season. That's the farthest thing on Trenton's mind is breaking that record because they have bigger ideas in their minds, do the Columbus Grove Bulldogs. But 283, I mean, he's been putting up over 200 here, it seems like, the last several weeks. He had 225 last week against LCC.
He could have a big night Friday night, but the situation you find yourself in if you're Columbus Grove, I think you want to kind of minimize, you know, he's not a kid who's going to carry the ball 30 times Friday night.
No.
You know, they're going to spread it around. They're going to do what they need to do. Columbus Grove, they're not into the stat thing and that, but that's a significant milestone because that's one that when Blaine Mag set the record, you had to look at and say, that may never be broken. And so does he get it?
I mean, it was almost a long shot for Trenton to get it this year. I mean, he almost needed 3,000 yards. I think he needed 2,600 and something. Now, he's a different cat, but, boy, that's a lot of yards to get.
He's going to break it next week.
Okay.
He's going to break it against the Delphos St. John Leipsic winner.
Okay.
I'm just going to put that question to rest. Yes, he will have it before the state semis.
Okay. Collision course with Marion Local. Now they're going to have to get by Minster next week.
Yes, they
will.
will.
Rematch. That was 21-0 Marion Local, but I'll take the Flyers in that one.
Yeah, by default.
But Marion Local against Trenton Brazett. Huh.
Yeah, and you know the thing that I'm excited about, Columbus Grove, Marion Local is what they are. They're bona fide, but they won't back down.
No.
They won't back down. And that's
yeah. I'm taking Columbus Grove like you, and so is Neil Schuler in this matchup.
Love it.
Here's the matchup: 11 versus 15. If this was March Madness, everybody would be tuned into this one, right?
Yeah, they would.
Leipsic 8-4, giving up 19.2 points per game, scoring 24.3. Delphos St. John's 5-7 now, only scoring 17.5 points, but okay.
Coldwater, Marion Local.
Yeah, Minster.
Yeah.
The rest of the MAC. Giving up 28.2, so that's pretty good. You're only giving up 28.2 against the schedule that they play. Delphos St. John's strength of schedule 4th in Division 7. Leipsic is 51. I got some great stats from our good friends down in Delphos as they hooked me up with some stats. The Blue Jays 5-0 all-time against Leipsic. 31-14 in the second round of the 1994 playoffs, 31-7 in the second round of the 2009 playoffs, 28-20 in the 2011 regional final, 36-29 in the first round of the 2012 playoffs, and 33-18 in the first round of the 2013 playoffs. A few more notes that I got on Delphos St. John's. Senior running back, linebacker T.J. Wirtz, hurt in week 3 against Versailles, cleared to play week 11. So they have him back.
Difference maker.
Yep. Senior wide receiver, Connor Gagne, major knee injury week 5 last year against Fort Recovery, ACL and meniscus, rebuilt by Dr. Timothy Krimchek. Heard that name before.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Reds team orthopedist. 11 months of rehab, cleared to play the first day of practice, made second team All-MAC defense at safety for a 3-7 team in the MAC. Also, senior Drew Boggs, track athlete is what I'm told. School record in the high jump state qualifier is Mr. Boggs. Offensive lineman Josh Mueller, second team All-MAC. And Alex Heron leads the team in sacks, a linebacker. Then you have this Leipsic team that's gotten hot here late in the season with Joe Kirkendall and crew. Ty Lammers, boy, he's had a big season, freshman quarterback. Mark Kirkendall running the show for his dad.
Boy, all day long, all weekend long, I was kind of leaning Leipsic here. They've kind of caught lightning in a bottle here. They've got to be flying high after knocking off Gibsonburg last week. But for my money, Lynn, which isn't much, but for my money, and another tidbit, those two teams have played 5 times, St. John's and Leipsic. Interesting little side note there. I didn't realize that. I would have guessed they've played twice or 3 times. So I'm going to go with Delphos St. John's in a game that's going to come right down to the wire, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Leipzig's able to get it done. But my pick will be St. John's in this one.
Thank you to Rob, hopefully I say his last name right, Gaynor, for that info on Delphos St. John's. Says they listen to the podcast down there in Delphos, love it. And so
thank you.
Thank you to Rob for giving us that insight.
That's great
that's
insight.
Outstanding. So I got to take the Blue Jays in this one.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a tough pick.
It is. Boy, they go through that MAC schedule. They also played LCC close. Played Versailles really close. Now they lost to Marion Local 71-0. 71-0.
Yeah.
52-7 against Coldwater. St. Henry got them 49-6. Anna got them 34-0.
How would Leipsic have done against those 4?
Probably pretty much the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been totally different.
Yeah. What did the odds makers say on this matchup? Neil Schuler also has Delphos St. John's in this one, so
this one,
we could look really dumb in the village of Leipsic this week.
Yeah, we could. It won't be the first time. Odds makers like Delphos St. John's by 5.5 points. Fantastic 50 like St. John's by 5, which I hadn't looked at this when I made my pick. Interesting. Makes me feel a little better. Cal Preps has St. John's by 6, so a median of 5.5. Interesting. Close. Less than a score. Could come down to a turnover. And Leipsic, Joe Kirkendall, if there's a way to be found, he'll find it.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
They're very well coached.
Yeah. Give me the rest of the Division 7 matchups as far as the odds go this week, Coach.
Yeah, Cuyahoga Heights and Warren John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, a slim 1.5-point favorite. Jeromesville, Hillsdale, and Malvern. Hillsdale, a 9.5-point favorite. Columbus Grove, Mohawk, we said Grove by 31. Danville and Miller, Danville by 28.5. Beaver Eastern and Conotton Valley. Beaver Eastern, a slim 3.5-point favorite. Marion Local Ansonia, we mentioned earlier. Marion Local, 42.5-point favorite. And Minster and Cincinnati College Prep. Minster, a 39-point favorite.
Okay. Wow.
Going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. Also have 8-man the state championship this week. This game will be at Fremont Ross. This is on Saturday night. rematch from October 26th that Toledo Christian won 28-0, their closest game of the season. Carter Kester started the scoring, 7-yard reception from Tyler Grace. Josiah Hillrich, 6-yard catch from Grace. Kester, 28-yard touchdown from Grace, and then Kester a 6-yard touchdown reception from Grace in that October matchup. Tyler Grace, 23 of 38, 267 yards, 4 TDs in that matchup. Carter Kester, he had a nice night, 15 catches, 203 yards, 3 TDs. Jack Dieters, 15 carries, 83 yards, and Josiah Hillrich, 6 catches, 43 yards. Toledo Christian, 404 yards in that matchup. Sandusky, St. Mary Central Catholic, 112. Does any of that change in this one, in the state championship?
No, it doesn't. More of the same. St. Mary's, they'll play hard. They'll give Toledo Christian plenty of resistance, I think. But, Lynn, you've given me a ton of insight into Toledo Christian the last couple of years, and I watched this weekend a bunch of their highlights on I think it was BCSN. I went through and watched a lot of them, and a couple of them from last week's game against Holgate. Carter Kester, he's a stud.
Yeah,
he is imposing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about Lincoln Kreger RoboCop. Kester looks really good too.
Yeah. He's pretty good on a basketball court too.
Yes, he is. I've seen him play.
You and Coach Krause may want to catch a TC game this year.
Yeah, saw them play last year. Kester was super impressive. Grace can make all the throws. Watching his highlights, he can touch it, he can zip it. But and then some good-looking linemen too. Man, Toledo Christian looks the part. We'll see if St. Mary can hang in there. See if they can hang in there. But I like Toledo Christian.
Oh, I do too. I think they roll to another state championship.
I do too.
Undisputed.
The
way they've played this season, I don't think anybody can argue that they're the best 8-man team in Ohio. And from right here, we're adding at least 2 more teams to the mix to the 8-man fold next year. I'd like to see that number. 2 is not enough for me.
It needs to. Are they 2 Ohio teams?
Yes, 2 Ohio teams that are going to join the Northern 8.
Yeah.
I know who they are. I don't want to release names yet. I don't know that it's technically official. But
yeah, it needs to grow. I'd like to see it be.
That'll get us to 10 unless some more decide to show up here in the off season.
Yeah.
Neil Schuler also picking Toledo Christian. Not that there was any suspense there, but Neil Schuler likes the Eagles in that matchup. That wraps up week 13.
Boy,
dwindling down here.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Just gets more and more and more exciting. And boy, which teams have depth and can remain healthy? That's going to be a factor. And
I think most of the teams still alive are pretty healthy
overall. Yeah. Overall, they are. Tickled to be going back to Kazmaier Stadium Friday night, Lynn.
Yeah, can't wait.
Tickled for that.
Tune in 6:30 pregame show. We will have the Region 18 regional semifinal between Liberty Center and Oak Harbor. Should be an absolute dandy. Kickoff at 7. Tune in Saturday morning as well as we recap the regional semifinals from around the area and some from around the state on Rise and Rewind presented by White Pines Golf Course. Thank you to the Gerken Companies for being the title sponsor of our podcast. Also, thank you to Glenn and Greg Badenhop here at American Freedom Energy for hosting us and all of our sponsors this season. Have a great week, everybody. We will be back Friday night and Saturday morning.